Hello and welcome back to another spooky season review. This is the 1988 all-time classic, cannot be beaten by any other film in history, the Citizen Kane of horror films, Child's Play. Yes. Obviously, I'm joking. This film is not really that good, but we've embraced it as such, and moving forward have brought Chucky into our lives forever, apparently. So, John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is how I do spooky season. Flashlights and darkness. I'm a blind film critic, so really low-tech shit happening here. This is the original Child's Play. As I mentioned, the 1988 version, not the reboot. We'll get to that after getting through all of the other Child's Play movies. But this is the first Child's Play movie, which I've seen more times than I should probably admit to in the course of my life. But although there are some people who only watch horror movies, so I'm sure to them, Child's Play is probably one of those films where they're like, oh, what do you mean more times? I've seen it like 25. Whoa, that is a lot of Child's Play, dude. This film is okay, but that's a lot of Child's Play, you know. It's like every time there's a sequel, I have to revisit the franchise. Oh, well, I guess, well, that makes a lot of sense, especially, okay, I understand now. So, yeah, so for spooky season, I'm going to do all of the Child's Play movies. How do you feel about that? I hope you like it, because I'm doing it anyway. Because somebody will like it. So, Child's Play. Yeah, this is from 1988. I was far too young to watch, so I ended up catching it on cable later on. I caught easily the first 3 Child's Play films with cable edits. It's amazing what we show on cable nowadays versus what we used to show on cable. There are lots of cutaways. It was a lot easier to watch horror movies back in the day. You know, no profanity, no sex, and some cutaways on violence. There was some violence in it. There were some scary things. They were generally more prone to showing you like a scary face, you know, or a jump scare or something like that, than they were like somebody's face falling off, you know, like those kind of things were usually definitely, I think USA Up All Night was definitely an anchor for me back in the day. And Joe Bob, he had his show too. Yeah, I watched a lot of what Joe Bob was doing, so I don't know how many times I've seen Child's Play. Some of it is not even like an entire viewing. It's just like when you catch something on cable and you watch it from wherever it is till the end. So, or you watch the beginning until you get tired of it and then you move on. Or flip channels and you're like, well, I watched 30 minutes of Child's Play. That was fine. So yeah, I've seen some weird amount of Child's Play. So what is this about? This whole franchise is based on Charles Lee Ray, who has he's a renowned serial killer, and he's chased into a toy factory, but he's a master of the voodoo arts, and his last thing before he dies is to transfer his soul into the body of a good guy doll. Good guy dolls are sort of like the my brother and me, kids, sister, kids, like that whole generation of toys where like we sold kids the idea of not being an only child. Those toys, you know, were made for kids who were just only children, and they were like, I want a brother. And the parents were like, all right. So they went to the store and they bought these toys that were like, here you go. Here's your brother. It's my brother. Or here's your sister, it's kid sister. And then you have to carry this doll around and be like, this is my brother. Literally, that's the name of the doll, is my brother. So, I guess I would think that's a little bit of a inspiration for this. Anyway, that good guy doll gets picked up by Andy's mom, and Andy being Andy Barclay of Child's Play fame, played in this film by Alex Vincent, who would return to the franchise later on. He's in the first 2 films, and then he jumps all the way to, he comes back in Cult of Chucky, and then he's in the TV series. So, yeah. So Andy Barclay is the original, the OG victim. Andy Barclay as a character, I should say, is also in Child's Play 3. It's just not played by Alex Vincent. So, Chucky is his friend to the end. But really what he's trying to do is he wants to put his soul into a human, get out of a toy. So he's slowly trying to kill off the humans, the adults in Andy's life, starting with the murder of this like nanny, babysitter thing, and that launches like an investigation. There's like a cop that comes in, and it goes down this rabbit hole of Chucky going after his old partner and a bunch of things. The funny thing is that like a lot of this stuff isn't mentioned later on in the, what do I want to call it? Full circle moment of Curse of Chucky, when we get into that and they come back around to it and they're like, oh, well, this is where Charles Lee Ray was that led into the first film. And it's like, wait didn't he have like a partner like that he kills in the first film? Why doesn't Curse mention that at all? They just skip that 100%. So and they also give him this backstory where he was at this like house with that none of that is mentioned in this film. Like he was, I don't know, in some like hovel with this other guy who he goes back for and kills in this film too. It's not really relevant because they don't really do much with the other guy or introduce the other guy as like, being a substantial character. So basically, as soon as you see him, you're like, I don't know who this guy is. Well, he's dead. You know, it's just kind of like that vibe. The main characters here are just sort of the ones to watch out for, where you're actually like, oh, well, maybe they'll live. We'll see. Are Andy's mom, and the main cop, whose name escapes me, but I'm sure he escapes many people. Pretty just sort of like a generic 80s cop who kind of seems to think the mom is hot. So is entertaining the idea of fighting crime, but also is like, well, she might also be crazy. Totally valid point. So, yeah, this is Child's Play. It's not scary. This is the one where it tries to be scary, though. I would say, from everything I know about the franchise, you can tell they're trying in the first 2 films to legitimately make Chucky scary. Like, they don't know. Technically, they shouldn't know yet. I mean, he's just, it's a real attempt at a horror franchise, a scary franchise. There's no camp here. There's no intentional camp. Later on with the Chucky franchise, there's a lot of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That doesn't exist here. So, yeah, it's just a killer doll, a good guy doll, Andy Barclay, you know. And Brad Dourif doing some excellent voice work, iconic voice work. I know we've probably never, I don't even know, do we have like voiceover acting? Just like in general, outside of animation, just like regular voiceover. Because I feel like if Brad Dourif hasn't won some sort of like award/lifetime achievement for his long portrayal of Chucky across all of the franchises, I think that's just such a shame. You know, at this point, it's like he's created such an iconic character with such a recognizable voice that even when they tried to reboot it, it was like, no. Isn't Mark Hamill? I haven't actually seen the reboot yet. Isn't Mark Hamill, who is also a great voice actor, by the way? I think he does the voice of the rebooted version. And even with that, people were like, no, that's not our Chucky. Nope, that's, I think his name is Tommy or something like that. Yeah, they didn't even dare to try to find a Brad Dourif replacement, because you just can't replace Brad Dourif here. It's impossible. So, do I like Child's Play? Is it a legitimately good film? I don't know how to grade Chucky movies. You know, I don't like, they're not good, but like at the same time, I feel like societally we've accepted that and we watch them anyway. And it's like seeing them, like they don't really have low IMDb scores, at least not where you would think for a film like this. So their fans are keeping them floated high enough. Same thing sort of like Letterboxd, Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, these aren't films that are like floating at like 10%. Like the whole franchise is like below 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, even though it's kind of silly. And at the same time, you could feel that. You could feel it, and you'd be like, well, no critics like this. So the fact that critics have had to report and be like, yeah, I like that. That was good. Is it good? Or is it just that we like it? I think those are two very different things. Do I like Child's Play? Yeah, I like Chucky. I think he's fun. He's the weird 80s thing that came and lasted. You know, we got a whole bunch of like really serious, scary characters out of this time period, out of the slasher period. You know, have lasted from Freddy Krueger to Michael Myers, and technically as a 70s character, but we'll count him as 80s because most of the sequels were in the 80s. Jason Voorhees, Pinhead, just a whole bunch of things that came out of the 80s. And then you got Chucky, and it's just like, there's a place for him, right? I think there's a place for this. So I'm excited to get through the Child's Play franchise this spooky season, and I'm going to give Child's Play, I'm going to give it a B+. I'm going to start this franchise off strong. I think this is probably my favorite. Yeah, this is probably my favorite because it doesn't know what it is. And that's what I think is really cool about it, is it doesn't know if it's going to be successful. It doesn't know if people are going to laugh at it. It doesn't know that there are going to be sequels. It doesn't know anything. It just is. And there's something very interesting about that, you know? And I think that's why I like Child's Play, the first film, probably the most, is it's before it starts getting into its head about what kind of thing Chucky should be, before people start offering their opinions on what Chucky should be, that kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah, hope you enjoy joining me on this ride. I was combining those into two words, and I will see you on the other side. I'm gonna do those weird creepy voices all spooky season. This is either gonna work like gangbusters or it's gonna be, you know, but I'm doing it for this spooky season. I'm gonna do a lot of flashlight reviews. We'll see. I don't know. I'm scared. I may not have any viewers.